Today, derivatives have become an integral part of every bank's treasury. The objective behind having derivative products in their treasury is basically to hedge their risk. The risk can range from the asset liability management risk, interest rate risk, and market risk. Another objective of banks introducing derivatives in their portfolio is to cater to their clients who are exposed to the global markets. Let us start with the definition of derivatives. In derivatives, we say that a financial contract between two or more parties which is derived from the future value of an underlying asset. Friends, here we have to make a note of two important things. One is an underlying asset, and secondly, it is derived. A derivative contract doesn't have a price of its own. It discovers a price. It discovers a price from where? It discovers a price from the underlying asset which it is trying to hedge or it is trying to protect. The underlying asset can range from an equity, whether it is a share price or a bond price. It can be a foreign exchange rate, that is, we are talking about currencies ranging from USD, Euro, Great Britain Pound, JPY, and many more. We might have derivatives in interest rates. We can have derivatives in commodities. In commodities, we have derivatives for crude oil, for gold, cotton, wheat, etc. Today, with so much of exposure in the global markets, we can have derivatives on rainfall, on weather, and it can be a derivative on another derivative. So basically, derivatives are contracts which try to hedge the risk which an underlying asset is exposed to. And as we know, it derives the price from the price of the underlying asset. As we say that the curd is derived from milk, the same fashion, a derivative contract is derived from an underlying asset. To start with, let us have a basic classification of derivatives. The derivatives are bifurcated into two types. One is financial derivatives, the other one is commodity derivatives. In commodity derivatives, we have tangible and intangible products. In financial derivatives, we have real estate, foreign exchange, a debt derivative, or an equity derivative. Talking about the participants in a derivative market are the hedgers. Now friends, who are hedgers? We need to understand that a hedger is a person who has a genuine trade in the market, who has a certain exposure in the market and which he is trying to protect through a derivative contract. A hedger hedges his risk in the underlying asset. There is another category of participant, that is speculator. Then we have the arbitrageurs. To talk about hedgers, they are market players who wish to protect an existing asset position from a future adverse price movement. To hedge a position, market player needs to take an equal and opposite position in the future market to the one in the spot market. Let me explain you this concept with an example. Let us talk about an exporter who is likely to receive a remittance of $10,000 in 1 month period. Now this exporter who is about to receive the remittance after 1 month is again exposed to risk. Now what is the risk all about? The risk is of currency fluctuation, the volatility that exists in the foreign exchange market. He is concerned about the rupee versus dollar price after a month's time. So let's say the spot price of USD INR is rupees 60 per dollar. So this is a spot price. Now he is concerned about the appreciation of rupee. He is concerned about rupee falling from 60 to 55 to 50 or to 45. So in order to safeguard his position, which is going to mature after a 1 month period, he is trying to hedge his position with the help of a forward contract. Now how does he do that? Now friends, he has $10,000 coming in his kitty after a month's time. The spot price of USD INR is rupees 60 per dollar. Now he approaches a bank and the bank gives him a forward price of rupees 62 per dollar. That means, come what may, after a month's period, when the remittance comes to his account, he will be able to convert all his dollars at a rate of 62. That means, today the spot price of USD INR is 60, but he will be able to convert all his dollars, the remittance of $10,000 which are going to come to him after a month's period, he will be able to convert it at 62. So what he has done basically is he has tried to protect himself from the fluctuations in the foreign exchange rates. So friends, now the important thing which we should understand over here is he has locked in the price. He is a hedger. He is basically concerned about protecting his exposure. He already has an underlying exposure which he is trying to protect it. And how is going to protect it? He is going to protect it with the help of a forward contract. Now what does he do? He locks in the price of 62 per dollar. Now after 1 month's period on expiry of the contract, now when the remittance actually comes in, the $10,000 comes into his account, he will be converting all his $10,000 at the price of rupees 62. So let's say on 1st of January 2013, when the spot price was at rupees 60 per dollar, I had entered into a forward contract wherein I logged in a price of 62 per dollar. That means I have hedged my position. Now, come what may, wherever the market goes, I am not concerned because I know that I will be able to convert my dollars at 62 price. On 1st of February 2013, when actually I received, the exporter receives the remittance that is of $10,000, he will be able to convert these $10,000 at the price of rupees 62 per dollar. That means he is going to receive rupees 6,20,000 after the conversion. Now friends, as Warren Buffett has rightly said that derivatives are the weapons of mass destruction. Now why did he comment in this way? Now friends, we said that yes, this exporter, he had an exposure in the market. He was concerned about the price fluctuations of the currency, and that's the reason he hedged his position with locking in the price of converting his dollars at the price of rupees 62. Now what is the concern for the exporter? Now friends, what happens is on the day when actually the conversion takes place, the spot price might be different than the forward rate which has been given to the exporter. So on 1st of February 2013, let's say the spot price was at 60 per dollar. In that case, the exporter is happy. Why? Because if he would have gone to the spot market, he would have converted his dollars only at a price of rupees 60 and he would have got rupees 6 lakhs in his account. But since he had taken a derivative contract, he had entered into a derivative contract, he was able to convert his $10,000 at a price of rupees 62 and hence he got 6,20,000, that is 20,000 profit in his account. what if the spot price would have gone to rupees 70 per dollar? So let's say if the exchange rate on the 1st of February 2013 would have been at 70 per dollar, he would have repented for taking the derivative contract. Though he had hedged his position by locking in a price of rupees 62, if he would have kept his position unhedged, he would have been at a better off position. Why? Because he would have converted all his dollars at the spot rate of rupees 70 and he would have earned 7 lakh. Right? So there is a notional loss for the exporter for rupees 80,000. Coming to the important aspect of hedging, when I hedge a position in a market player, what he needs to do is he needs to take an equal and opposite position. Now, when I say equal and opposite position, that means if I am long in the spot market, I need to be short in the derivative market. And if I am short in the spot market, I need to go long in the derivative market. So equal and opposite position needs to be taken if we want to hedge our position in the derivative markets. Now, if a person is short, the sellers need to sell short future positions to offset an existing long position. And if he is long, that is buyer needs to buy a long futures position to offset an existing short spot position. So loss in one market, that is either in the spot market or in the derivative market or in the future market, will be offset with a profit in the other market. Coming to the second category of participants in the derivative market, they are speculators. Now, who are speculators, friends? They are actually said to be the market makers. They are the one who are ready to take risk. When I talk about hedgers, they try to shrink away with the risk. They want to mitigate the risk. How do they mitigate the risk? By shifting their risk to the speculators. The speculators are the one who give liquidity to the market. So they give the liquidity to the market. They are said to be the market makers. Now, when I talk about speculators, basically they are not having any underlying exposure in the spot market. They are just having a vision about the future price movements, and on that basis they are taking a position in the derivative markets. So who are speculators? The speculators are the one who accept the risk that the hedgers wish to transfer. They take the position on their expectations of a future price movements. They buy future contracts, go long when they expect the future prices to rise. They take a sell future contract, they go in for a short future contract when they expect the future prices to fall. Thus, they give liquidity to the market. Coming to the important characteristics of derivatives, basically we say derivatives are hedging instruments, are hedging tools, as we have already explained it with an example. In derivatives, we do a price discovery. Why a price discovery? Because, as I said earlier, derivative contracts don't have a price of their own. They derive the price from the underlying asset, which might range from an equity to a currency. They provide liquidity to the market. They are said to have the feature of leveraging. Coming to the types of derivatives, derivative trading is basically bifurcated into two types. One is exchange traded and the other one is OTC. OTC stands for over the counter. Now, in case of what is the basic difference between an exchange traded and over the contract? In exchange traded, as we have, we can name a few of the contracts on few of the products which are dealt in the exchange, that is futures and options. And in case of OTC, we basically have forwards, we have options, and we have swaps. So these are the major products which are dealt in the OTC market. Now, friends, what is the basic difference? In exchange traded, it is basically the exchange which plays a vital role. The exchange comes in as a counterparty. In case of over the counter, it is a direct contract between two persons, that is Mr. A and Mr. B coming together, and mutually they enter into a contract. So that is the over-the-counter contract. So in case of exchange traded, they are standardized and published contracts. In case of over-the-counter, there is no such specification, as they can be customized as per the requirements of the client. Here, in exchange traded contracts, they are more transparent. The prices are universally available on the websites of various exchanges, whether it is BSE, NSE, or any regional exchange for that matter. And in case of over-the-counter, a trade done between Mr. A and B will not be known to Mr. P, or a trade done between Mr. P and Q will not be known to Mr. A. So there is a lack of transparency. There is no such transparency which is available in case of OTC contracts. The terminologies basically that are used in derivative contracts is long position, that is, if the party has agreed to buy, we say he is having a long position. A short position, the party that has agreed to sell has a short position. Coming to the various types of derivatives, now friends, this is the most important part of the chapter, wherein we need to understand the various types of derivatives that are dealt in by the bank's treasury in order to hedge their risk in ALM, interest rates, currency, etc. So starting with forward contracts, a transaction in which the buyer and seller agree upon the delivery of a specified quality and quantity of an asset at a future date at an agreed price. Now we need to, why I stressed on some few points is, they make a basic difference into the type of contract we are entering into. Now when I talk about a forward contract, I said on the day one, that is when the contract is agreed upon, we decide on the price, the quantity and the quality of the underlying asset, the settlement date, the location for delivery. Now the same thing I would like to explain you with the help of an example. In case of a forward contract, let us take a small example of Reliance Fresh. Reliance Fresh is party A. Party B is the cultivator or the farmer who is going to cultivate the crop for Reliance Fresh. Now what happens is, Reliance Fresh is in need of booking a contract for 100 kgs of rice. They want to put an order before the cultivation starts with the farmer. They want to enter into a contract wherein they say that we are in need of 100 kgs of rice. Waiting for 6 months period after the cultivation is done, the rice is ready. At that point of time, the price might be different. So what they want to do is, in order to hedge the risk of price fluctuations in the commodity market, they are trying to lock in a price with the help of a forward contract that is done with the cultivator. Now what do they do is, before the cultivation begins, they are going to lock in the price. As I said earlier, on the day one, that is when the contract is agreed upon, they are going to decide at what price they are going to buy the rice at a price from the cultivator. So let's say they are booking a contract, a forward contract. We are specifically talking about a forward contract, friends. So in case of a forward contract, Reliance Fresh in need of 100 kgs. So the demand comes in from Reliance Fresh, wherein they want 100 kgs of rice. The supplier is going to be the farmer, the cultivator. Now he is going to supply 100 kgs of rice after 6 months period. Now this is a forward contract which is done for 6 months. So let's say today on 1st of January 2013, this is day 1 when the contract is actually taken. So Reliance Fresh on 1st of January 2013 enters into a forward contract with the cultivator, that is wherein they state that after 6 months, they are going to buy 100 kgs of rice at, let's say, a price of rupees 100 per kg. So that means they have locked in a price. As we said, derivatives can be taken for the commodities also. So when I say yes, they are concerned about rice at a price is going high, they are locking in a price, and the price they have locked in with the cultivator, it suits both the parties, right? So when I say forward contracts, they are customized contracts. The customized contracts wherein it is customized, it is tailor-made according to the requirements, according to the comfort level of both the parties. So Reliance Fresh and the cultivator, they have locked in a price of rupees 100, which is suitable to both of them. So 100 kgs of rice, that is the quantity. Now let's say the quality, we are saying, specifically saying standard A. So the paddy has to be of standard A. So the quality, the quantity has been specified, the price has been specified on day 1 itself. Now the settlement day, that is after 6 months, once the cultivation is done, once the paddy is ready. So let's say on 1st of July 2013, that is going to be the settlement date, or to put it in another way, it can be the delivery date for the forward contract to expire or to come to an end. So on day 1, I have specified the price, the quantity and quality, the settlement date, and the location for delivery. Very important, friends, when we are talking about a forward contract in case of a commodity, we also need to specify where the delivery is going to take place. So this is on day 1. So now he is also rest assured that yes, he is going to get the rice at 100 kg rice at a price of rupees 100, and the cultivator also is sure about the money which he is going to receive on his cultivation. So both ways, both have hedged their position against the price movements that can happen in case of commodities. Now on the future date, that is on the settlement date, that is on 1st of July 2013, when the forward contract comes to an end, what will happen is the delivery will take place at the agreed location on the agreed date as per the terms and conditions which were entered into on the day 1 between Reliance Fresh and the cultivator, and the payment on delivery. So what will happen is the payment will be done by Reliance Fresh to the cultivator, and the cultivator is going to supply the paddy to Reliance Fresh. So what has happened in this case is, friends, basically in forward contract, I am trying to hedge my position. As I said, when I am a hedger, I will always take an equal and opposite position in the derivative market to my exposure in the spot market. So basically, I am trying to hedge my position, but the characteristics of a forward contract is they are customized. They are not standardized contracts, they are customized contracts, and they can be tailor-made as per the requirements of both the parties. But the concern is that the parties will always have a counterparty risk. Why a counterparty risk? Because it might happen that Reliance Fresh might not fulfill his side of commitment, or it might be that the cultivator will not fulfill his side of commitment. So there is always a concern about counterparty risk, which is always there in case of a forward contract. So coming to the payoff, now what happens is, if you look at the diagram, it talks about the profit and loss of the forward contract. So I will explain it to you by drawing the diagram on the board. Now as I said, we have logged in a price. So let us have the spot prices on the x-axis, right, and the payoff, that is the profit or the loss on the forward contract, can be placed on the y-axis. So what happens is, I have logged in, though this is, let's say, this is my price, my forward price. Right? So this is my price at which the transaction is going to take place. Now in order to know where do I stand, whether I have made a profit, now definitely it is going to be a notional profit or a notional loss, but then I need to understand whether I have done a profit on this transaction or whether I have incurred a loss. Now, how will I come to know about that? Now, this is a payoff diagram which shows that. Now, this is my price, that is, come what may, I will be able to sell my paddy at rupees 100 per kg. Now, what happens is, if, now this is, we are talking from the point of view of Reliance Fresh. Right? So, Reliance Fresh, they know that they have long paddy, that is, they have taken a long position of buying the paddy at rupees 100 per kg. Right, friends? So, in case of Reliance Fresh, they have locked in a price of rupees 100. Now, what if the prices, the spot prices in the month of July goes to, that is, the paddy cost at rupees 150, or it goes to rupees 200, or as on. So, what happens is, now if let's say the prices are moving on the higher side, definitely Reliance Fresh is going to be at a benefit. How it is going to benefit? It is going to benefit because it is able to buy the paddy at a cheaper rate than the spot rate, right? So, on 1st of July 2013, they are able to get the paddy at rupees 100, whereas in the market it is available at rupees 150. So, what happens is, they are able to make a profit out of this forward contract. In case the prices start moving down, let's say in the spot market, the paddy cost 80, 70, 60, then they are going to incur a loss. So, it is going to be a indefinite profit and indefinite loss in case of a forward contract. So, unlimited losses and unlimited profit is the basic feature of a forward contract.